Hi, this is Marcy from Spirit Source at 1033 Main Salon and Spa in beautiful Mumford, New York. And today we're going to talk about the care and keeping of your tarot deck. Um, you will find that a lot of people have a lot of ideas about the proper handling of your deck, and these will often be presented as rules, like you should never let someone else touch your cards, or you should always keep them wrapped in white silk. So what's that all about? And is it necessary? I personally think that what's most important, aside from showing respect for your cards by having a place that you keep them and they're not getting things spilled on them or knocked around and that sort of thing, the most important thing I think is consistency. Consistency in how you choose to read the cards, and there are a number of issues where you will have to come to your own position on the matter, such as reading reversals, but also consistency in how you handle your cards and how you store them. So, you've got your brand new deck of cards. Now what? What are the rules? Well, one of the first things that you're going to want to consider is whether they need to be energetically cleaned. I recommend that, and I recommend it also as maintenance, that periodically you will clear the energy and sort of refresh the cards, because as people are working with them and reading them, the energy from those readings builds up in the cards, and they may find themselves a little bit stuck in certain messages. Also, you want to connect with the cards energetically, and so that process of cleaning and refreshing them keeps you from being stuck in a certain way of seeing everything. Because as we're going to learn, there are many ways to see a card. So, how do you clean the cards? I personally use Reiki most of the time because I am a Reiki practitioner. Some people keep a crystal in with the cards as they put them away, and the crystal cleans it. Then you periodically want to clean the crystal, and that's a whole nother thing. Some people use smudging. What is smudging? Burning sage creates a smoke. The sage is considered to be something that cleans energy, and so you can pass items through the smoke from the sage, and that let the smoke clean the energy of your cards. Hold them in the smoke of the sage. Let it clean them. We do carry smudging supplies here at 1033 Main, so if you're interested in doing that, stop by and we can hook you up with supplies for that. And another option would be to keep your cards overnight in a bowl of sea salt. Sea salt has a cleansing effect, much like a crystal would have. It's just the salt's also similar to using a crystal. And another idea is to put your cards in a sheltered location. So you might have a place outside where you feel they would be fine, or you might like to put them in a window, and let the moonlight shine over them. Let them have good exposure to moonlight to clean them, and then leave them and let the sun recharge them. And that's a nice, easy, gentle technique for cleaning your cards. Cleaning your cards is something that should be done periodically, because you will have energy build up from readings, as I said earlier. So if you use them all the time and you have other people shuffling for readings, and that, maybe once a week is a good idea. If you don't use them quite that often and you only use them for your own self, once a month might be fine. And also you might like to just do that on the new moon, which is a time when everything begins fresh. So it's kind of symbolic. Where do you store your cards? I mentioned earlier that some people talk about wrapping them in silk, and that's actually a nice transition here, because we're talking about the energy and cleaning the energy of the cards. There is an idea that your cards are susceptible to absorb energy from their surrounding environment, and that if you wrap them in white silk, that creates a barrier that keeps them from absorbing those energies and keeps them pure. I have not personally gone that route, and I'll show you some of the places where I keep my cards here shortly. But one of the nice things I came across when I was looking into that is that you can take that silk that you've wrapped your cards in and lay it out on the table and do your reading on the silk. And I like that. I really kind of do like that, because it creates a sacred space wherever you read your cards. Now, I have a place at home where I read my cards if I'm doing a personal reading at home. And I have this area in my business to read cards, so this is where I read cards, where I do meditation, and that creates an energy in this space. And so for me, this is my, if you will, sacred space for that. However, if you were, say, a person who goes to people's homes to do readings, it might be worth it to have a cloth like the white silk that you wrap your cards in that you can lay down, and this becomes then a signal to your mind. Okay, now we're getting down to spiritual business, and we're going to focus on perceiving things in a way that is a little different from our everyday in and out kind of way of looking at things. And I think that's really good. I like that. So, where do I keep my cards? Let me show you. Some of the cards I have, such as the Housewives Tarot, come in a box. It's very accessible and very sturdy, and I've had these cards for a couple of years now, and I keep them right in their box. Another deck that's like that, the John Holland, the Psychic Tarot Oracle cards. This box, just pop the top off there. It's a nice sturdy box, and they're fine. So they don't need a particular box. However, I do have some decks that came in boxes that would not hold up to that. And so, as it happens, I have a little collection of wooden boxes just because I like them. And so I can keep my cards in there if they're of an appropriate size. Let me see, sometimes those slip back. And it's just a little pretty box, and it's nice for me, I think, and it's sturdy for my cards. Some woods do have metaphysical associations, magical associations, and some of those would be hazel or oak. Ash also certainly has some, and hawthorn have associations. So you might, if you really want to go all out, find a box made with a wood that has a particular association that is important to you, and keep your cards in that. I also have my Herbal Tarot in this pouch. When I got that deck, I did want a nice place to keep them, and my daughter handmade this pouch for me, and it's specifically for this deck, and that has worked out really well, and I think that makes that special, very special to me. We do here at the shop have a couple of drawstring bags that you could keep tarot decks in that my daughter made, and these are all handmade, and she sells these for $4 a piece. So if that's something you're interested in, stop on in and see us, and we'll be happy to work with you there. Now, with your new deck, there are also some ideas about how you connect with your deck. And so you will sometimes hear people talk about sleeping with their cards. You could put your cards under your pillow. Personally, I have not found that makes a big difference for me. But it might be something for you to experiment with and make a decision on yourself how you feel about that. So you might put them under your pillow and sleep with them for a week or so after you get them, and keep them around you so that you're connecting energetically with them. What I find effective for me with a new deck is just to make sure that I work with it a little bit every day, and that's kind of how I build my connection. And I do a daily one card reading, and then I have started recently doing in addition mind, body, and spirit 3-card reading. So that lets me work with a couple of my decks every morning. I do think that it is important to work with your cards regularly to stay connected with them. I find if I set a deck aside for a while and don't work with it, when I do pick it up and want to read with it, I do have a harder time connecting with the imagery in that. So what do I recommend? If you have several decks, then, and you probably will, because there are some really intriguing, interesting, and beautiful decks out there, you probably, if you get into tarot, will end up with a little bit of a collection. How do you stay connected to them all? Well, I recommend that maybe once a week or every other week, you just take time and shuffle those cards there, and spend just a little time, shuffle them, get your energy connected with them, and look through the cards a little bit and think about the images and see what you're picking up on in just that little bit, and stay connected in that way. It doesn't mean you have to read all of your decks all of the time, but just stay connected once a week or so, shuffling them and looking at them and thinking about them, and that should be plenty to maintain a connection. Now, on the issue of whether other people should be touching your cards, you will hear sometimes that nobody should ever touch your cards. I think that when I have someone for a reading, I like for them to shuffle the cards. I like for them to touch the cards because they're getting their energy and their thoughts brought into the deck, and then when I pick it up, I have something of them with which I can connect. I think that it's more important that when someone wants to handle your cards, that they have your permission or don't. And that's a very important, I feel, spiritual lesson for us. Because often those of us in the metaphysical fields are nurturing, caretaking people who have a hard time saying no or setting boundaries. But if you feel you don't want that person handling your cards, it's good practice for you to find a way to gently suggest that they not do so. And I think that is actually their gift to you, that opportunity. However, I think that it's perfectly fine if you are okay with someone handling your cards. I'm always showing my cards to people. I think they're beautiful, and I think they're cool, and I like people to see them. So I don't have a problem with that. That's about it for today. Next in the series, we're going to actually start into interpretation. So I strongly recommend that you get either a Rider-Waite or a Universal Rider-Waite deck, because that's what I'm going to mostly be working with as we go through the cards individually, although I'm sure I'll bring in some of the other decks to show you. But that's a very basic, ubiquitous deck, and I think it's good to have that background before you branch out into other types of decks and other symbologies that you might be working with, and just have that good foundation in something very basic. So thanks for watching. Blessings to you, and have a great day.